Yes. That's something definitely. Let me write that down just so I can remember that. A Pizzle, FDRS update.
RVC, just write like RVC next to it.
Oh yeah, that too. That's important. What is going on, everybody? We're just writing down a few couple of notes. Let me get this all set up here.
Let me mute this while I'm doing this until you cue me.
Oh yeah.
That's okay. He's still at work there. He's
grinding.
Yeah.
What you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
He's looking like he's rocking away with the Milwaukee tools like everybody else is doing.
Oh yeah.
Myself included.
You know, I wish we would have had those back in the day when doing 6.0 Econoline stuff and
let's not go there with 6 liter E series stuff.
Oh my gosh. The only reason why I didn't ever mess with Milwaukee. I mean, when I thought Milwaukee, I thought Makita and I thought like Bob Vila home improvement stuff. And then
like most of us.
Yeah, I saw Diesel Tech Ron using the 3/8 before it was the Fuel series. And that was the first thing that I got because I was doing Econoline stuff and was like, oh my gosh, this is a must doing valve cover bolts and man, that was tits. But yeah, definitely a must. I get a lot of questions about that. Hey, I'm gonna ask for Christmas. You know, what ones do I get? You know,
my wife already came through for me for Christmas. I got the last. In my arsenal, they were a 1/4-inch drive Milwaukee fuel ratchet.
Nice. One of my subscribers sent me the long neck or long reach 1/4 drive ratchet, and I never thought I would use that.
What is the benefit?
It is really nice. I'm telling you what, it is. I used it the day I got it, and I was thankful that I had it because I had to do. We're talking to you about on the MKZs, the converters, the 3.0s that I had to do, and dude,
oh god,
take that alternator or the compressor out, and got them bolts right out. It was awesome.
But hey, Michael, what's your background?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm Chinese, but I was.
Well, no, your automotive background. You're Chinese.
Yeah, well, I was born in Canada, but.
Oh, okay. You were born in Canada.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ford Tech, Ford dealer tech, repping it.
Chinese and born in Canada.
Great White North.
Yep, the Great White North. What background were you asking? Sorry, specifically.
What's your professional background?
I don't know. I've been with Ford since 2000.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So prior to that, various other dealerships. Chrysler, I did my apprenticeship. I think I had my stint at a GM store for a while too, but this is going way back in the 90s.
But when we talk about all these diesels, I mean, you pretty much know what we're talking about, the 6.0 days and
the 7.3 liter cam sensors.
Oh yeah,
water and fuel drains that leak when cold.
Oh yeah. I haven't done one of those in a long time.
Have you been mostly Super Duty?
I've done everything for it. As far as engines, I'm what you call the slugger guy, the guy that does all the shit work that nobody else in the dealership wants to do. All the engine replacements, anything where the cylinder heads or any part of the engine has to come apart. The only thing I haven't done in my automotive career is alignments and automatic transmission disassembly. Everything else, I've just about touched.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
So, I mean, I've been in it for a few years now. Done my fair share of rear diff overhauls and stuff like that. Stuff that's really tedious.
Yeah.
Right? That kind of requires even the littlest of details not to be overlooked, if you know what I'm saying. And if E-Rod has worked on his share of E-Series 6 liter diesels, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. That one
Yeah.
fastener for that bracket that if you miss it, it's not coming apart or not going back together.
I would talk about tedious. What I was actually wound up doing today was exhaust manifold. What's up, awesome bro? My man right here, he was with me through the whole thing. Exhaust manifold 2014 EcoBoost F-150. And this was actually, usually I get the transits and there's a
I
broken
hate
stud.
transit.
Broken stud in the back.
Buddy,
This one actually didn't have a broken stud, but the gasket was blew out. You can see soot and everything.
All right,
Really?
so with all these Ford technicians here, we got Michael here. He's got what, 22 years experience at Ford, longer career if you count, the other dealers.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are talking about the exhaust manifold on the 3.5 EcoBoost right now. So I get this question a lot. People say, which one is more reliable? A 3.5 EcoBoost? Which one's more reliable, but which one's easier to service and more reliable? 3.5 EcoBoost or 2.7? And I told people 2.7. But I'm kind of thinking, my thought process is you got like integrated exhaust manifolds. That's a failure point that's removed by having the integrated exhaust manifolds. You don't have, but I kind of said 2.7, but Ford boss, you're saying 2.7 as well.
It is 2.7. That's not debatable.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you right now, it's everybody that, who was it? The people that came up with the creation or the design team had split part with the 6.7 Powerstroke and a lot of the design with the 2.7 or something like that. I was reading up on a little bit of the history.
Yeah, I think the engineering firm was different than the one that designed the 3.5, where the 3.5 was built off of the old Duratec engine.
Early on, I had some issues with the 2.7, but it was only for a few months. There was some
oil consumption.
Yeah, there was a little bit of oil consumption. There was some burning on, like a little bit of exhaust smoke on startup. And I had to do a driver's side head. And then a couple weeks later, passenger side cylinder head came in. And then I had to do both cylinder heads. And since like 2017, 2018, I haven't seen a single one since. Every one of them comes in. They're not rattling. They're easy to drive. The guys love them. No issues.
Do you think that integrated exhaust manifold is a positive as far as reliability because you're eliminating that exhaust?
I do.
I think it's a valid point. That eliminates one possible failure point too, right?
Yeah. It eliminates the bolts. They can't break and have exhaust leaks. You don't. You have a more. I also said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you get a more compact design.
Yep.
So you get a little bit more room to work if you had to replace a turbo, whatever.
The closer you can take that turbo and get it to that motor, get it closer and closer to that motor, the more you can retain that heat. We talk about heat retention on boosted applications, not boosted applications getting hot, but heat retention, like how we took the turbo and stuck it down in the valley real deep in the exhaust manifold and stuff on the 6.7. It's a phenomenal design. The turbo spool up real nice. It makes a lot of power. It's very, very good, very efficient. The closer you can take that turbo and get it into that cylinder head, get it to where the exhaust is coming out as fast and as soon as possible, the more efficient it's going to be.
Yeah, no lag.
Right.
Exactly.
And the 2.7, the first time I ever drove a 2.7, it was against we were doing a trade from dealer to dealer. I think I told you guys off the air, and they had a porter go with me, and we were trading, and we only had one porter. Everybody was sick. They called off, and it was a 5.3 and like a 1500 Silverado, and I was in a 2.7 EcoBoost, and we got out on that kind of open road, and I was like, well, I mean, here it is. We're both sitting right next to each other. We got to do it. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And that 2.7 EcoBoost left that damn 5.3 sitting there like it was just sitting still. Like boost immediately, and that sucker was gone. And I was like, you know what? I understand why the LS guys like their motors, but when it comes to how these perform, it's like instant power now, and they just take off and leave.
Well, having those water-cooled exhausts means that you can pull that much more heat out of the engine, which means the tuning can be just a little bit more aggressive, which is why it's so efficient with such small displacement and able to run so much boost with so much compression. I mean, you look at the compression ratio and it's got like It's probably got like 10-1 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, more than that, probably. I think.
Probably.
Even. Yeah.
Back in the day, you couldn't do that.
No.
Back in the day, turbocharged applications were a little bit lower in compression.
The only concern I have though is with Ford and all these small displacement direct injected turbocharged engines is basically the long-term longevity of squeezing out so much power and torque output from such a small displacement. I kind of wonder about the long-term durability, because let's face it, that's squeezing quite a bit out of all of these small displacement engines. 1.5, 1 liter. You know, we got 3 cylinders now in the new Escapes.
Yeah.
And you get a 2.7 in a Expedition?
No,
Not
it's
right
only
now.
no. The 3.5 Eco is the only engine. I wish
Okay.
they had the 5-liter Coyote in it as an option, just like in the F-150. That would be the engine I would choose if I was going to go for an F-150. But see, me, I'm stupid. I'm just one of those old school diehard V8 kind of guys. There,
Yeah.
That's why I drive an F-250 with a 6.7 in it. I cannot get away from a V8. I'm stupid that way. I don't know why. Now, that's not to say that these V6 turbos aren't nice and all that and powerful. My wife, I bought her a 2019 Explorer with a 3.5 Eco boost in it, and she just loves it. Every day that she drives it,
Ooh, look at that
you
thing.
know, yeah, like she's beyond ecstatic with
Well,
it.
if something goes wrong with it, she's got you.
Right. Well, so
Yeah.
far, knock wood, nothing has gone wrong with it. But I'm stupid when it comes to fluids. Like I'm on all my rides, oil changes without question every 3,000 miles.
Ooh,
That's
wow.
a bad dude right there.
Dude, hey, look, fluids are cheaper than engine parts. That's my
So what are you
philosophy.
doing as far as differentials or transfer cases mainly, but differentials as well, like on your 250?
I do my.
Well, tell them what you came from. What year 6.7 that you had, and tell them now what you just got. So you're comparing, contrasting the same vehicle, but they're different.
I came out of a 2016 6.7 F-250
Hell yeah.
into a 2021 F-250.
Hell yeah.
And I blame A-Rod for that. I kept asking, is it worth it to get into the 10 speed? That was the one concern that I had with getting into something newer. But so far, so good. Speaking of which, I don't even notice any regens. I used to pay attention to when that DPF percent counter was getting high up there so that I would adjust my driving accordingly, I guess,
Yeah.
for lack of a better. But I find with this new truck, I never seem to have to do that. It just,
Maybe it's a little more efficient as far as that is concerned.
I've noticed the regen seems to complete much, much quicker. How that does, I don't know.
Interesting.
It probably stays maybe in a passive regen state. I wonder if I wonder if between 21 and 16, if the way it starts regen, I mean, it's for most part it's going to be the same, but if it starts post injection differently or at a different time to keep it in a passive state, but you're going to have a lot of heat. That's what heat drives, that cleaning of that filter. So I guess
What I am loving though
It's all
about
gonna
this
be-
newer truck is not having to keep refueling every week like I was with my old truck with the 26-gallon tank. And this new one, I go through what, 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks between fill-ups.
Nice.
Yeah.
What size tank you get? 36?
I'm not sure. I think it is there. A-Rod, what sizes are tanks there? You have the same truck.
But what do they call it in liters? So what
Oh, okay.
do you got? 100-liter tank?
Yeah, more than that. 120, I think 126.
Oh,
If
wow.
I remember,
Okay.
if I remember correctly, yeah. All I know is the cost of fueling up is a big ticket, but you know what? I don't care. I know what I signed up for, and how often I have to fill it, whatever.
Well, I got a question for you
Hmm.
for like Super Duty. So I got a 19 250. It's got 20,000 on it,
Yeah, miles, right? Yeah.
20,000 miles. And I'm thinking, I'm kind of worried about the brakes. I'm not going through pads or nothing like that real quick. And this is the Ford Boss too, but I'm thinking about like taking my pins out and putting some grease on it, but I don't know what kind of grease to use. Can I just use my regular grease gun and use that like high temp synthetic grease? Or do I need to get like something special? What do you think?
Brake slider pins, usually there is dedicated brake slider pin grease for it. And unless you're getting water or other crap in there that's causing it to rust up and seize up, I wouldn't really be too worried about it.
I can
make sure
just leave it alone until it actually needs a brake job.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
That's for the most part that I've seen. I've never. It's only the trucks that come in with the attitude, the not my truck sort of attitude miles.
But I will say this: I am plowing. I am plowing with the truck too, so it might be a little bit more than normal. Of
okay, well,
should I go to Ford and get like or should I go to AutoZone and get the brake pin stuff?
If it's dedicated brake caliper pin grease, then you're good. As long as it's not anti-seize. If you put anti-seize in there, then they will seize up. Yeah.
Maybe I should just go to Ford, or maybe I should just go on Amazon and order like Ford Motorcraft brake pin grease, or
slider pin grease. It's called. I don't know the exact part number.
I like the stuff that comes in like the Explorer boxes.
So just get the Permatex.
Ultra brake parts lubricant. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that'll work too.
What's the applicator? Is it a brush?
Yeah, we just take like one of those acid paint brushes or whatever.
Okay. I got
and it's the Permatex synthetic ultra brake. Well, I love this stuff.
Let me write that down. You said Permatex.
And that you can get you can probably get at the auto parts store or online.
Permatex ultra brake parts lubricant.
So do you think it'd be kind of ridiculous to think, let me check these pins and make sure they're not starting to
not at all. But you know what? That's what wears accelerates brake pad wear too.
Yeah, because it seems like for me to have brake issues, it's going to take something like that before I actually have like the pads actually wear out, just because it's
if I had a customer come in and say, hey, I'm just here for, you to do regular brakes, and I know that they've been on top of the preventative stuff, dude, I would be happy as a tick on a dog's butt, man.
Oh, you and me both.
Man, that's above and beyond. That's stuff that when somebody, that's your work truck. That's something you find value in. That's something that you need to take care of. And when you're going that extra step to do stuff like that, and you within means know what you're doing, and you're not getting sloppy with it, you make our job so much easier, and you save yourself a ton of money in the process. You know how many Super Duties come in here where people don't even service them? They don't do stuff like that. They wait to the last minute to get brakes, and we're having to put whole entire caliper assemblies, loaded caliper brackets and stuff on it.
Well, I want to ask you. Oh, go ahead, Michael.
I was going to say I was going to direct you to Ford Boss Me. How many of those Super Duty brake calipers have you seen with those rubber boots on those caliper pistons just torn up to rat shit?
They're torn up, and then you're having to beat the pins out of everything, and then you're having to try to bore it out and save it, and then eventually you get to a point where you're like, hey, man, I could save you a ton of money by getting the bracket, the caliper, the entire assembly, and it's already loaded on some of them, you're probably better off just buying into assembly, because by the time I get done labor-wise of honing all this out, cleaning everything out, the pins might be wallered out inside the hole by the time I get all the rust and stuff out of it. You're better off just buying a new assembly. Like if you keep up on that PM, like DS was saying, that he wants to do, man, you save yourself a ton of money doing that.
Yeah. Probably find other issues too as well, like just being in there, messing around. You might.
Since you're a plow truck driver there, let me tell you something else there. Keep your interior floors dry and clean. Don't ever let
We've already had to talk about this.
Have we? Okay.
No, me and DS.
That's been an issue for me. That's been an issue with this salt getting in my trucks.
Well,
I do think that needs to be redesigned or have a different way of negating where that water goes.
You and I both know what water goes to the wiring and all that, and that's where our hair gets pulled out there with checking for no crank, no starts, or other.
There could maybe be a higher standard of how they wrap that. Wrap both sides.
I see some of them mostly exposed.
It's like really exposed. Yeah. Somebody needs to come up with a floor liner that just can hold freaking 5 gallons of water.
For me, I'm a WeatherTech guy all the way.
WeatherTechs are pretty good as far as protection for sure.
Yeah.
they cover pretty far. They cover nice and far over.
Especially on the Explorer, they cover under the accelerator where the factory floor mat doesn't.
Yeah.
I know.
So since I was talking about brakes, I know Ford Boss what he thinks about this, but what do you think as far as brake fluid? I got 20,000 miles. It's a 2019. It's got 3 years in service.
Right.
Should I be thinking about maybe I should flush this brake fluid out?
buddy, it never hurts.
Buddy.
As long as it's done right.
Yeah.
It's
I
done
was
wrong.
always,
As
I
long
was
as you got
always
the
told
correct
3
fluid,
years.
Yeah.
3 years is about good.
3 years is about
3
good.
years.
Yeah.
3 years is standard, but it's not optimal. 2 years, they said years ago was optimal. And then I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it every year, because if you're not running like a .3 brake fluid on the old stuff, it was a little bit, it didn't have as high a boiling point, dry and wet. So you had to service it more. Well, I don't know if you'd have to say if you service it more often, you'd service it less. It wasn't thought of as an extreme brake fluid. Now we have .4 and some people .5.1 and all this other stuff in other manufacturers. So it can handle more heat. But to me, I would think that if you're putting a better performing brake fluid in a vehicle, that you should be servicing it more. So years ago, I think it was like just a general consensus. They changed it from 3 years to 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm at 3 years. I'm thinking about doing that. My thought process on that would be, because I have limited tools here, is me just get a helper and have them hit the brake for me.
Yep. Go on each corner.
But I would tell them, don't be putting it to the floor when that bleeder cracks.
You know, Rich, I wonder if that Kathy girl from your company lady that gets a hold of you for the special tools that sent you the smoke machine. I wonder if they had a at-home brake bleeder that someone could hook up that would be like a little air compressor that somebody
Some of the
could
guys
have.
that I know, some of the YouTubers have been showing the lower, what would you call it, lower cost Mighty-Vac systems.
Yeah.
Where they can do it themselves, it's just a smaller kit, a $200 kit or something like that.
I had that before.
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't like it that much when I had it.
I have a vacuum bleeder that just connects to air compressor and it pulls vacuum.
I used to have a little
use.
squeeze pump.
Yeah.
This is the new one that I got, and I like it, and it pulls hard. A lot of guys were saying don't waste your money, but I bought it, and it's actually fixed issues that it would take pumping the brakes up forever, just get air and stuff out of it. And I think Mighty-Vac actually makes it, but it's the Mac brand, and I think I only paid like $110 for it or something, or $100 for the kit, and it actually hooked right up to it.
Ford
I
Boss
had-
Man's bench.
I have the
looks
same
just
one.
like mine.
What?
So when I was doing the last brake
That's
job, I was doing
tight.
with a vacuum bleeder. I kept having air going around the threads of the bleeders. So was that just because I had a cheap kit and you got to you have to seal the threads?
You probably took the bleeder too far out, and you needed to just barely crack it and just enough to get like a half turn or one turn and then do it.
Okay.
Is that Mac Tools? That one there, Ford Boss?
Yeah, this one's the Mac Tool brand, but I think it's actually just a rebadged like Mighty-Vac version or something.
Yeah.
Guys were telling me.
Wish we had a Mac, man.
I used to hear about like pressure bleeders that go up on the master cylinder. Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah, that's like
Are
a
those
3
bad
or 4.
news? Or?
No, it's a headache. It's a 3 or 4 person operation. One person inside to operate the brake pedal, one person to keep refilling the brake fluid, another person to change the pressure settings on that. Oh, another guy at the bleeder there at each corner.
It depends on the one that you get. The one I use at Bartow Ford, we put a quart of brake fluid in it,
Yeah.
hooked it up to the pressure bleeder, and went to town.
Yeah, you have to regulate the pressure too, I think. I forgot what the
We had it
pressure
set.
was, but yeah.
Interesting.
It's
It was
not,
awesome.
You don't put the pressure up super high on it. We have a big like industrial machine through like Valvoline that we do it with, but we also have like the standard pressure that you can use a hand pump. You just pump it up and you just leave it up here, and it's got a little gauge on it that shows you exactly where you're at. We got the bigger like commercial style, it's more of a generic commercial style kit, but it actually works, and it comes with like a ton of different fittings and stuff in it. We started using it. Ford came out with the 19S54 supplement saying that you can bleed the recall on the ABS modules, where we're having to go through and flush out all the fluid, make sure the ABS module is functioning properly. Now, they actually came out with a couple different provisions and said, you don't have to do it the exact way that we specified before. There's actually other means that you can use to supplement the equipment that you're using, and other means of actually getting the .4 fluid because they were running out. And then they said, as long as it's done appropriately, here's the supplements that we will allow you to do. And we actually ordered a bigger commercial version of the MightyVac kit, so we don't have to be in this giant honking thing all the time, hooking up all these lines. And yeah, you know,
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. It
and
is.
there's another line, and then another line, and then another line. Then you got your suction gun, and then you put all your fluid in the side here, and then it will actually do everything for you.
It's cumbersome as hell, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It was a pain in the butt, and then sometimes it didn't even work because every time you pull a kit, you got to scan a barcode in it, and if the barcode doesn't scan, that means you can't use the kit, and you can't just use it over and over and over again. So you'd run out of so many barcodes. They wouldn't just unlock the machine for you to use it whenever you wanted, because the company wants you buying their product using their machine on their fluid. Where's the kit?
That's the one I used.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I know one time I was doing a vacuum bleed on my car and I had to go to work, and I'm trying to get this done before work, and I freaking drained the master cylinder because I'm like at the caliper pumping. I go up to top it off and it's empty. And I'm like, oh man, I know I'm not supposed to do that. And I didn't know what to do. So I just kept kept bleeding. It took forever. It's a nightmare.
Yeah. Hey, brake fluid at least is cheap though, right? The more you put in, that's the best brake fluid flush you can ever do.
Yeah.
Right. It beats having it coming in with all the master cylinder full of nothing but black, like I've seen many times there on many vehicles.
Well, if anybody's, go ahead, Ford Boss.
That's what just happened to the Dodge. When I was flushing out the motor and stuff here, I used the BG engine restoration stuff, best stuff on the market by far. I flushing out the motor and stuff here, take it out to the back of the lot to run it at 3,000 RPM because they upped the RPM, and this thing is an old, Magnum motor. You could beat the living hell out of it. It'll take it. And I'm running it through there, and I'm looking at the brake fluid, and I'm like, why does this thing look so dark? It's because I wasn't driving it. I wasn't doing anything with it. It was absorbing moisture. I was neglecting it and stuff. When I went to actually flush the fluid out, the master cylinder went out. And I put all this fresh, clean fluid and stuff in there, and, using the brakes, driving it around for a couple days in the lot and stuff like that. And all of a sudden go to push the brakes after putting new calipers on it, and it was done. It just, the primary or secondary seal, what's the one on the backside towards the booster? Is that the primary?
That should be the primary. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Front one.
It was the opposite one. So it wasn't bleeding off into the booster. It was the other one. You get a wall, you go to press on it, and you'll get a little firmness, and then it'll just bleed off and go to the floor. And I was like, oh man, I just screwed up my damn master cylinder because I wasn't keeping up on my maintenance. It's just a spare truck that I have as a project.
It was an old truck, that kind of thing.
But that 318 though is an old school truck. That'll go. It's simple as hell. You don't have any other sophisticated crap on it, right? I mean, it's easy to keep. Right.
Well, yeah, and the trans just went out too. It's another story, but I ended up buying a brand new trans for it. I have it in the parts room, and then I ordered all of the billet accumulators. I ordered all heavy duty internal components so I can actually build this 46RE to like a stage 2, almost stage 3. So everything's all billet now, really, really heavy duty stuff. So yeah, you run them forever, but again, we talk about maintenance. We talk about maintenance all the time, and I was letting it sit back there. I wasn't driving it. I wasn't doing anything. I was neglecting it. And then the one day I wanted to go out there, calipers are locked up. The pins weren't greased and stuff. I let it sit back there and absorb moisture too long. And this is all the stuff we're talking about. And I'm like living it. And I'm like, you're supposed to be like somewhat of an automotive influencer. You're supposed to set the standard for people and stuff like that by doing the right thing. And here I am neglecting my own vehicles. And I'm like,
we ain't got time. We're always working on everybody else's stuff.
I was just going to say that we're always fixing everybody else's rides.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing. I'm here till 10, 11, 12, 2 o'clock in the morning working on stuff, and it's like.
Your dealership lets you do that?
I just do it.
I used to do that too. You know what? For the longest time before this COVID thing hit, even on the nights that I wasn't scheduled late, if I had like a couple of engine jobs on the go, I would end up staying there till 8 o'clock till they closed the doors just so I didn't have to see that the next morning. They would start off on a new ticket.
I just do it, man. We didn't have work for the longest time, and now all of a sudden we got all this work coming in, and we got a couple guys out that are sick. So I'm like, just leave me alone.
You can just stay there till tomorrow.
I have.
Oh God, he's not me.
Just keep working.
Geez, I thought I was bad. My wife used to be mad at me all the time too for staying late.
Mine doesn't. My girlfriend, that we're looking at homes and stuff now, and possible marriage in the future, and she's like, "Look, man, I love you and everything, and you've been a huge part of mine and Jenna's life, but you're working way too much, man, and you're really taking away from a lot of the family time, doing all the stuff on the weekends, like doing side jobs at my hobby shop that I rent out at work and stuff. It pays. It's costing me right now, so I've had to try to figure out a way to slow down, stop trying to get so many jobs crammed in and getting customers' vehicles out and stuff like that, and."
Well, a day is only so long, as you and I only know all too well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What do you
With
think
these-
about? Oh, go ahead.
With these vehicles, whether they're older or newer, Ford Boss and I were talking about this earlier. When we have additives in our vehicles, whether we're adding them to the oil or to the fuel, he was actually talking about a Lucas one, and I've heard a lot of guys ask, I put Lucas fuel stabilizer in my my fuel, I have good results with it and whatnot. But it brings up a good point. And if you guys have been following the channel, when we talked with DS a long while ago about oil and viscosities and how often we change them and whatnot. And one of the additives that I have been using has been Hot Shots FR3. If you had been watching Ford Boss Me's video here the other day, he was talking about a couple additives, and one of them being Lucas. And I guess if whoever's watching, why don't you in the comments let us know what is your thoughts on additives? I'm not a scientific, I'm not looking at a microscope, but I know when I change my oil, I know what it looks like. I know you're driving the vehicle, how your stuff is, and whether or not you believe in using additives or whatnot. I mean, Rich, what is your thought on that Lucas, that one that you were talking about?
So I ruffled a lot of feathers. Let me tell you that. A lot of these guys don't like hearing what they've thought is correct for so long. And, we might find some people here get upset as well. And my intention is not to make you upset. My intention is to give you the facts. And when I go to a material data sheet and a technical data sheet from the company that makes the product, and it basically states this is to rejuvenate or add to a worn out engine or give you something more on those specific additives like the Lucas oil stabilizer, my statement was never that it didn't work. It does work. It works on older vehicles that have looser tolerances, that have bearings that are failing and stuff like that you can make quieter. Let me go into the break room here.
Right before you sell it, you know what I'm saying? Right before you put the thing on the lot.
It will quieten down some of those older engines. It will make the oil pressure come up a little bit more if you have these worn motors and stuff like that. My message was this: you're taking a heavy duty oil stabilizer that under extreme RPM, more than what you can just do with a crank at the O'Reilly's parts store and see how it's so sticky and sticks to all the gears and stuff like that. Put a drill on it. See some of the tests the guys have done under high RPM and see what happens with some of that stuff. It starts to foam up. It doesn't do what you want it to do. Why? Because it's not a chemically balanced product. Yes, it can add to coating the metal and stuff like that. It can take up for some loose tolerances bearing wise where you might be losing some oil pressure and bring some of that oil pressure back up. But that's 110 weight oil at like 200 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a 110 weight oil that you're mixing in with something that's already a 1540. It's already a 10W30. It's already a 5W20. What are your numbers when that's all mixed in? What does it come out to? You're taking an oil that has no additive base to it at all. You're mixing it with an oil that's already chemically balanced, designed for that vehicle to be inside that vehicle, lubricating, moving parts, suspending debris and stuff, anti-foaming agents and everything else, and you're diluting it. You're taking it because it's not balanced to be in there in that optimal form. It's only as a wear protectant, right? So make sure you're putting stuff in your vehicles that is actually going to work to the benefit of the product that's already in there, not take away from it. So I tell people,
hurting the additive packages that are already in the oil.
Right. And they've already done tests on this. They've already sent samples out on this stuff to see what's in there, and everything comes back 0 and then maybe some phosphorus or something in it. Or maybe you test SCP oil stabilizer and it's only got ZDP or something, and like a zinc additive or something for cam components or whatever. Maybe it's a great additive to put into something that's already worn. But if you're taking care of your vehicle and you're maintaining your vehicle, and you can put something like hot shots in there that's going to add to it and it's going to make it better, sure, I can see that. But if you're going to take something that doesn't have an additive package and you're going to add it to a perfectly fine motor that already has good oil, you've been servicing it, I don't see the purpose in that. I don't see that's a benefit to the vehicle at all. And I don't think that you're doing that vehicle any justice. You have VVT components, VCT components, you have timing phasers, tight tolerance stuff on these new motors. So once you start getting into the new tighter tolerance motors that require oil pressure to advance and retard and to do things that they're supposed to do, when you're taking a lot of these additives and they're not designed to work with a lot of this newer stuff, you're not really benefiting the motor. You actually could be taking away from the motor. And there's plenty of stories out there. If you don't put the additives in correctly, if you don't put the aftermarket stuff to accompany what the factory stuff is designed for, you're going to take away from the life of that motor. So I tell people all the time, be very, very careful. Know what you're putting in your vehicle. Lucas oil stabilizer is 110 weight oil. It's like honey. Yes, it does stick to motor. It sticks to metal, but it doesn't necessarily need to go in every single motor because you see every Uncle Bob, Uncle Jerry, Grandpa Billy doing it that they used to do back in 1970. Not in today's engines. It's not a great idea.
Well, you might as well be putting stop leak in it there.
Right.
I got motor honey, guys.
I'm not a fan of it. To me, it seems like something you do to sell a problem and hide something from someone else. Not really a long-term fix. If it's that bad to where you need to put that thick of an oil in it to hide something, it's probably not going to last. You know, if you're covering up a rod.
What was that?
They have a Lucas synthetic line that is it's a little thinner. They have a Lucas oil stabilizer that's equal to, I believe it's about a 45 weight. But still, at that point, if you're trying to cover something up that's making noise, or you think you're adding to something that's broken, fix it. Fix it. That's it. Do the right thing and fix it. If you can't fix it and you're just trying to buy some time, like on a 2011 and 2014 5-liter that's losing oil pressure at 150, 175, 200,000 miles, I could see putting a little bit in there that you buy if the intention is to fix it. But if you're just trying to put a Band-Aid on something, so you think it's going to...
Oh, his phone must have died. Or maybe
shit.
Oh, no, he's coming back.
Is
It
he?
was
There he is. He was frozen.
Ford boss, you back?
Well, yeah, I'm back, but it said something about re-recording.
Lucas got to you.
Oh,
I just want to make sure. Oh, you know what it was? It was the Wi-Fi cut off.
Oh, shit.
uh-oh.
I miss my 95 Crown Victoria with the good old reliable 4.6 liter, by the way.
You know what?
Nice.
When I think that, I think of the EGR ports that were there underneath the throttle body.
I did
Those
that
three
once.
little ports.
Yep.
That's
yep.
what makes me think of when I think of them, that model.
That would be
That
the
model
last
Panther.
year. And yeah, but then the model after that, model year later is when they cracked the intake manifold. They're behind the coolant.
Oh,
passages
yeah,
with the
yeah,
plastic,
yeah.
right? Changed out a lot of
Wi-Fi.
those. Oh, by the way, avoid the Dorman replacement intake manifold too.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you how many of those I've had to replace after they were only just replaced 6 months prior or sooner.
Which one is that?
Dorman
What motor are we talking about? I cut out for
4.6. The 4.6.
That
Yeah,
Panther.
the intake manifold there, where it deletes all of the factory fasteners for the coil on plug, throttle body, and even the intake manifold gaskets. You know,
Yeah, I had one of them come in and I had to be very, very, very careful because that's the only one that the customer said that they could afford. They couldn't afford the $350 Ford one from us. And then, you know, I kind of told them, I said, you can go online and shop around and
well, I think he cut out again, didn't he?
Yeah, he's gonna have to turn
Yeah.
off his. He's gonna have to turn on his Wi-Fi and get on that wireless network.
God, Dorman, we won't even go there. 6-liter diesel oil coolers.
Oh, man.
Yeah, what they do to IPR valves, the gas.
You're not a fan of Dorman.
I'm
Dorman
not
makes real crap stuff.
Look, I'm not opposed to aftermarket stuff. If I understand it. Like OEM stuff is a little bit pricey, and not everybody has the money for it. But what I'm not crazy about is when it doesn't do its job. I know, I know you get what you pay for and all that, but you also have to give a little bit of something too, not just last
Correct.
less than a year.
Well, they
See,
get
what-
into some advanced parts, which is kind of not cool. They
What
get
what
into-
happens with the Dorman stuff is the plastic stuff. The plastic stuff I've had to any of the fuel pump driver modules where customers swap them out on like the Explorers and the C pillar and stuff like that.
Which
They
I
get-
didn't even know existed until I saw your video. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So we had one come in and it was brand new. It was all, I mean, it was a few months old and it had already went out on them. And I jumped the supply circuit to the fuel pump and it fired right up. And I was like, this module is junk. And I was like, let me pull it out of here and see what the name is. And then sure enough, I see it said Dorman. I'm like, man, this is crap, man. I've seen too many of these plastic module type plastic intake manifolds fail from them. And I'm not talking bad about them because I do use their stuff, but I use the metal components like 2007 GMC Sierra. When I did the PCV update on the oil consumption, I drilled the extra holes in it. I ordered a Dorman valve cover for it because they're metal components. Typically stuff like that, where it's like an aluminum, one solid piece. I don't find any issues with that. It's when it comes to modules, intake manifolds that are plastic. I just don't like the way they manufacture stuff. It's not very good at all.
Self-tapping fasteners for those intake manifolds where the factory ones weren't.
Yeah, and then when you have to, instead of sending you the good quality bolts that hold everything down, like you were saying with the ignition coils and stuff like that, you're having to use plastic tapping
Yeah.
and stuff, and it's like, no.
This is what I mean. This is where it gets too obvious that corners are being cut. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But they build it for economy though, man. It's like people, if they can put it on and get by a couple years and spend $125 for the intake manifolds versus you can shop around, because I have a town car. You know what? People on here that follow me know that I love performance. I love the Ford product. I'm tried and true Ford. I love it. But I love all manufacturers as well. I don't manufacture bad. If it's bad, it's bad. And the Dorman plastic stuff just doesn't work for me.
Hey, Chrysler makes some pretty badass Hellcat V8s. It's too bad I'm a dyed-in-wool blue Ford guy, or else, I hate admitting that. The Cadillac CTS-V, there's another favorite ride of mine that I would so go after if I wasn't so into the blue oval. Manual transmission, rear-wheel drive V8, and fast as hell.
Yeah.
Ford to the nitty gritty so much. We have actually stumbled across some new information, Rich and I, with a Super Duty, preferably a Luma Duties. 11 through 16 doesn't really apply. We're looking at Sync 3 and if you guys have ever had to deal with APIMs, and this would be for any of you Ford techs that are listening, or have ever had to deal with programming. Now that we went from, you guys have heard us talk about this before, IDS stopped at 2019 for Super Duty. Anything after 2019, 20, 21, 22, Super Duty.
It's FDRS, yeah.
Thank you. It's completely different. And myself, Rich, Michael, CP, we're all getting used to still navigating and figuring out everything that we used to do with IDS for FDRS. And one of the things when we have to, let's say, replace an instrument cluster, or we have to replace an RCM, a restraints control module. In this
PCM.
case, a PCM, an APIM, pretty much all of these new electronic modules.
PSCM, yeah, I just had to do one.
When we go to the workshop manual and go to the, or PCED, whatever. Well, no, now they're all in the workshop manual. now.
Yeah, thank you.
No more
There's another
PCED.
big pet
Oh my
peeve of
gosh.
mine. Like,
We'll talk about that. That's crazy.
yeah, like what? It's just another change to me that doesn't make any sense. So many guys who've been in this a long time were so used to a certain thing. Now everybody's got to jump on board there to whatever they're doing.
Right.
You know,
It directs us to a code in this vast array of data, and we have this interactive, I guess, interactive flow chart, and we have to
Yeah.
input information, and it's called a guided routine. And at the very end, it generates a RVC code,
yes.
a repair validation code.
Validation.
And that may not be important to you guys listening, the customer bringing the vehicle in, but for us technicians, this is crucial for us to have when we're replacing these components, because when we do it interactive and the computer and the internet and the network generates this RVC code, then we can proceed with module replacement. That code gets submitted to warranty or with the warranty claim, and everything jives, and you're on your way, everything's working, and we're dealing with this on the back end.
I still get nervous about replacing a module when it tells me to get to that step, because then I'm always asking myself, did I miss any steps? Did I miss any checks? Did I miss a circuit there?
Yep.
It's always that for me.
That back.
Yeah.
You can't, everything we can do is eliminate everything else. We can't test the module.
Right.
There's not like a test for a module.
Right.
And
FICMs, I had a spare
that's
tester.
That's different.
Let's go way back, good old times. Right.
What Rich has found out with a 22. Now, this was a 22 that was a lower trim level. So this does not have sync 4. This still has sync 3. And
really?
Yeah. And what was the customer's problem he was having about the pairing and connectivity?
He said his concern was whenever I hit the voice command button on the steering wheel, sometimes it doesn't work. And then most of the time it doesn't work. And when it does work, a lot of times the microphone won't pick me up on the commands. And then when my phone is connected through the sync system, when the phone rings, I used to get the audible through the speakers and stuff like that. And now the only audible I get is through the phone. It quit with the button stuff. It quit with the voice stuff. It quit ringing the phone through the audio system. I can't use any of the audio stuff at all anymore. And I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here, because I use it for work. I do a lot of client-based work. I'm driving to that client immediately, or if there's an emergency, I need it, and it really helps with the business. Can you look into it? So I did. And, if you were here for last week's show, we were all looking at it together. Aaron was helping us go through and kind of diag and go through, and there were other techs that were giving suggestions and stuff, and we were doing everything. But I tried to program this probably a half a dozen times within a 4-hour period, and even one time let it sit updating for 2.5 hours, and it would not update. And it kept saying on the top of the screen, voice command or voice something, not ready, not ready, not ready, not ready. And it would fail the probe over and over and over again. So I sent Hotline a message and I said, hey, look, this is what I'm dealing with now. I spent forever on this thing last night, and I kind of gave them some choice words, but tastefully. And I said, you had me go through all this pinpoint tests and stuff like this. And then I get to the end of it, to the guided routine, and I think I'm getting somewhere. And then all of a sudden it says, refer to FDRS for guided routine. You're not doing guided routine on the PTS website anymore. You're going from the workshop manual back to FDRS that was already giving you problems to begin with, programming wise. And then you're going through the guided routine. And then while you're walking through trying to figure out what's wrong with the module, it'll pop up and say, hey, this module is out of date. You can't move forward anymore until you program this module. Well, if you're not giving me an option to say I've already tried this and another drop down, or I progress to the next step, and you're forcing me to program, but the module is not taking the program, you've tied my hands at this point, and I've just wasted all my time, and I cannot progress. So there's a fault in your system. You've changed the way we were doing things. You've made it more complicated for us. And now there's a hitch in the system that's not letting us progress to do our job. What is going on here?
They responded back and they said, yeah, if you've already done a master reset and you've cleared out all the customer's data, we find that the customer's stuff being in the computer is what's causing issues with the voice recognition and the phone type stuff in the sync system. So call that out first and get your program. If you've done that, you are correct. At that point, it is an APIM issue and it does need to be replaced. We do know that there's technical issues right now. We do recognize that the guided routine is not flowing like it should. We know there's problems. We know that you're not going to be able to generate an RVC code, and you're going to have to go to the diagnostic tab on the PTS website, go all the way to the bottom, and you're going to have to generate an RVC code manually with a basic description of what's going on. And then you'll
That
get an
sounds like
RVC
what
code to get ready.
Sounds like what I told you to do last week.
Yeah, I know that, but what we talk about on here versus what I actually put on paper, I know you were right. You were right. But I have to take the steps, you know?
There's an
True
EFC
that.
stating if it doesn't work, use it. And you can
Yeah,
just
I
say,
know. The thing is, here's where it ruffles my feathers. And I think Aaron and you guys know what's going on here. Why is there not like something in bold popping up on the main PTS website saying, hey, look, guys, it's not working. There's too many guys. There's a huge influx in guys trying to get these RVC codes right now. If it's doing this to you, use the manual process. There's nothing. There was nothing I read. There was nothing I seen. But then I find out somebody told me today, well, on the PTS, where guys are talking on the technician site, somebody stated this for weeks now that this has been that they've had a problem. I don't get on there all the time. I don't know what's going on the technician talk tabs and stuff like that. I'm relying on Ford and their database, their headquarters of data, right when you go in there to tell me whether or not I'm having an issue. I shouldn't have to go to CP or Aaron. There should be something there saying, hey, look, there's an influx of problems right now. We recognize this. You may have to resort to this step. But that didn't even go on. And for me to find out from them saying, hey, yeah, we recognize there's a problem. You're not going to be able to get your RVC code. Go force
There's no
it through manually
communication.
here. There was nothing there at all. And it led me to put hours into a vehicle and rack my brain trying to think, just like Michael was just saying, what did I do wrong? What did I screw up? I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this to the customer. I don't want to order a module that's not necessary. I'm questioning my ability as a technician to do my job because I'm not provided the information that I need to do my job.
Oh, that escape was a good one there. The ticket was stated verbatim. Please, customer had body repair done elsewhere. Customer replaced PSCM. Please program PSCM. So what did I do? This is since it's a 2020 escape. Well, we know it's FDRS. I went in there. I spent half the damn morning trying to get that programming procedure to go through. Basically, the end result is replace PSCM. So I'm thinking, okay, what the hell is wrong with this? Right? At this point, I'm looking, I noticed in the back seat, there are a couple of boxes of Ford parts to include a restraint control module and a clock spring. So I go up front there to the advisor and tell her, look, let's get this customer on the phone. Just clarify what exactly was done here. Sure enough, they confirmed what my suspicion was all along, that they didn't replace the PSCM. It was only the clock spring and the what did I say? The RCM. Right.
Information, man. We need to know what's going on, and if there's no communication between the customer and us, or Ford and us, something there for us to go off of. A lot of times we chase our tail and we waste a lot of time.
So this is again, there are 3 hours of my time wasted. Meanwhile, the service manager is bugging me. Mike, I need you to do other stuff. I need you to do other stuff.
Is it done? Is it done? Is it done? Is it done?
Thank
Is it
you.
done? Is it done? Is it done? Is it done?
Yep.
Come on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You guys are getting it too.
Yeah.
You know.
Come on.
So anyways, long story short, the guy finally coughed up the do-re mi there for a new PSCM, $2,000 later, by the way.
Today I had the same thing happen. I had a customer come in where somebody else had diagnosed it. It was either another dealership or somebody had talked to a service writer here where the information came from another dealership. So I refollowed the pinpoint test on an APIM on a 15 F-150.
Yeah.
I'm going through, I'm following the pinpoint chart. I get all the way to the end, a blank screen in it, and it clearly says, clear as day, replace the front control display interface module. And that's exactly what the other dealership said that sent the information here, because the customer wanted to have the vehicle repaired here instead. So I do exactly what was done. And I replaced the front control display interface module, because that is exactly where the pinpoint test runs you. And then I'm like, wait a second, why are we going right to a front control display interface module when I can leave the APIM powered up and test for power and ground coming out of the APIM before I condemn a front control display interface module? So after I did what I was told and the pinpoint test was already done, and I reconfirmed the previous technician did do the pinpoint test right, which he did, I found out it wasn't a front control display interface module. Here's another $600 out of the warranty company's pocket, because I took the APIM that's piggybacked to the front display interface module. They're pushed together, and I took it off while it was plugged in. I key on and I test for power coming out of it. Nothing. There's no power coming out of the APIM to actually power up the front display interface module. And that step is completely missed in that pinpoint section of making sure that the APIM is allowing power to transfer through it into the display module. So we go through so much that people don't even realize when it comes to this stuff. And there's missing pieces here and there. And it's like, sometimes I question why I do what I do because of the frustration, but then I realize I love this shit. So,
Well,
Wonder if it's related to what they were saying about cracking down on warranties. Maybe some kind of, it's more paperwork, it's more paper trail, and maybe it'll work itself out as things progress, you know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't, there's so much stuff I find now from years later that hasn't been fixed, that hasn't been progressed, that hasn't changed, you know, that where like a 19 Mustang came in last year. This has been out since 19, and they're talking about testing pins and stuff at this connector, A, B, C, D, on a module that's underneath the driver's seat. Go to connector D and unplug it and test from here to here and here to here. And I'm thinking to myself, none of this stuff is making any sense. Why is the diagram not matching what I'm seeing on the vehicle? The color of the connector is not matching what's on the vehicle. The pins, the readings that I'm getting are not matching what's in the pinpoint test. And I submit an issue. Whenever you find a problem, you can submit that there's an issue. And then finally, after 4 freaking submissions and me getting on them over and over and over again, they're, oh, wait a second. Yeah, the diagram's wrong. Yeah, C and D are mixed up on the diagram. So we do need to go back and fix that on a particular vehicle because it's not illustrated correctly. And you're chasing your tail and you're trying to figure out, what am I doing wrong? I'm trying to do everything right and I'm not getting anywhere. And it's the same thing. The Focus RS that I just added here, just simple stuff like pulling the PTU out of the vehicle so I can get the cat out of it because I had a PO 420 code and the cat was rattling. And they're saying, like I told you, Aaron, there's 3 bolts on top of this holding this heat shield on. So you take, or no, there's 2.
Oh,
it says
God.
×2 in big bold letters, ×2. So I take the 2 bolts out that you can't see. You got to, be a contortionist and fit up in there and stuff and get the bolts out. And you're trying to pull the heat shield out because you're following the pinpoint test like it says. You're like, why is this thing not coming out of here? What the hell is going on? And I'm looking with a mirror and everything else and I can't see anything. Then I grab my phone and I stick it up in there an hour later. And I'm like, oh, that's because there's a bolt in the heat shield that they don't have illustrated in the workshop manual tucked way up underneath the turbo in the corner that you can't see. That's not illustrated. And it's like,
Son of a bean.
And there's no way to correct that. Now that you've noticed that, there's no way to update.
You can report a problem, and if they acknowledge you, and it depends on when they acknowledge you. If they ever even sift through all the information that comes in that people are sending in, they may fix it or they may not fix it.
We
So
have
there's
a young follower and watcher tonight, Sydney. I have a question for you, and I am gonna ask that you answer through the power of your dad. What is your dad's favorite cleaning solution for his beloved 6.7? Now, if you're out there watching him fix his stuff, I'm gonna be thinking you're gonna know. So, hey, let us know. Cowboy Crusher, You guys got to check Cowboy Crusher out. If you guys want to see somebody crush Super Duties into a little jewelry box, a little box, you guys got to check his stuff out because it's pretty funny. John Ball, oh my man, I hope you watched today's short. MIA, we got it. She's rough, but we got it.
Ford bosses.
Somebody up here said, Mr. Nathan said he has an F550 with the rubber floor in the whole truck. And I want to say something about the rubber floor because I've already had to go over this with other customers because I guess having a rubber floor makes people think that they can hose it out with the garden hose. And that is not that's not good. That's not how that works. And I just want to let you guys know that although it may be like it's easy to get clean, please do not take it to the quarter car wash and pressure wash the rubber floor. Like, I would rather you use a mop and Pine Sol than taking it to the quarter car wash and spraying it with the pressure washer.
You might as well just submerge it into a flood.
I don't even know what to say. And I'm not saying that, Nathan, you're doing that, but that really triggered a good point that I wanted to bring up.
Never
while
would
you
have thought
guys
of
are
that,
here.
but that is actually very, very valid.
Oh man,
Seen it tons of times on Facebook. It's insane.
This is the scenario, right? So the guy came in. It was a single cab, gasoline,
Yeah.
2018, 6.2, and he was complaining weird nonsense going on the instrument cluster. Like he'd go to stop, and the airbag light would come on, and then he'd go to take off from a light, and the airbag light would go off. So he's constantly, correlating the stopping and the going and the light coming on and off.
Wow.
So I got the truck, and this is a plow vehicle, like a DS truck, working hard, doing what it's doing. And I got in it, and I was like, man, this thing is like really, really clean, like unusually clean. Like this doesn't coincide with a landscaping truck. And like I see landscaping truck, the dudes that take care of it, they got the carpets on the floors and the old bath towels and this. Now I gotta call this guy and get more info because something's just odd about how clean this is. Oh yeah, I just cleaned it, took it to the quarter car wash, and just sprayed out the inside. I'm like, you did what, dude? You mean this whole time I've been messing with this thing, and now you're telling me that you took it to the quarter car wash? Come, man almighty. Well, needless to say, that's not going to be conducive to electrical
You're going to pay me the labor
connectivity.
You're going to pay me the labor to replace every single harness on the inside of the floor there?
Oh, my goodness.
Speaking of which, I got one in on the hook that somebody, I'm still trying to process in my mind how the hell this was possible, stole the torpedo under a 2019 F350. When I got this thing up in the air, it looks like somebody went to town there with a Sawzall.
What?
You heard correct. We both know how big, how long, and how heavy the torpedo is on one of these trucks. Right?
That's not good.
No, it's not. Well, they had already pre-ordered the parts because apparently it's a friend of our general managers. Right? But now, up until I got it in the air today, they didn't foresee that there was going to be more parts needed because since they took the Sawzall to it, what about all the other parts attached to the exhaust? EGT sensors, DPFP sensors, NOx sensors. Oh, the SCR injector, the SCR, the connector to it. So now I need a new SCR hose. let's not forget the ones that they cut off. They're the harnesses. So now I'm into a frame harness too.
Wait till you guys stay tuned to the channel. I have a video coming up specifically tailored to 6.7s and what he's talking about, cat theft and what you can do to protect your DPF. I've never seen this before. I usually only see this on the gasoline trucks, but I do hear
but
DPF's getting stolen. But you guys got to check this out. And I was able to catch a quick video of one of my coworkers fixating this contraption to the vehicle. Would I put it on my truck? Probably not. But for people who are in a high crime area, maybe, or have a lot of trucks and it's, industrial complex. I mean, a lot of, there can be a lot of sketchy areas over in like industrial complex, maybe not too well lit up that people are just out there, wah, wah, where you can get away with those kinds of sounds because
how this happens,
we all know that's
in
not
2021
quiet.
In a day and age where there are cameras everywhere.
I know.
Taking a picture of you is what's beyond me, let alone the fact that such a large and heavy and awkward component somebody would be bold enough to even think about, let alone make off with. There is what is beyond me. So now I've been tasked with, I guess I'm going to assume, to bring this back to pre-theft condition. A little bit easier said than done, I would think, since I don't have the old part in the vehicle and things are a little bit hacked up there. There is one. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, there's also the counterweight too, and I think A-Rod knows the counterweight I'm talking about. I think. Yeah. Amongst all the hardware and all the other crap. Fuck.
Counterweight?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's like a vibration dampener for NVH, because you'll get maybe like a drone, if you didn't have it on there, you would get, once you're in overdrive or whatever, and maybe like a slight tip in. I've heard guys complaining, oh, I don't need this on my truck and I'm getting this drone. Oh, hey, I took this off well, that's supposed to be on there for a reason, buddy.
Okay. I know what you're talking about now.
It's like a can. Some have just like one stud and it's just a little round.
Yeah.
Like, like a small oil filter looking thing, but it's heavy.
Yeah. Huh. Well, here's the thing there too. These kind of instances are probably the most likely instances where once you get done with the job, you're gonna be married to it with ever since use all over it. That's why I want to make sure I get all my ducks in a row and have all the parts literally sitting in my hand before I really get into it too much.
I have what's this guy say? Yeah, these and that's exactly what's happening. I'm just reading through the comments here. I have a gas truck, Econoline 5.4, that it's a big restoration company, and they got hit with like 8 catalytic converter thefts. So I get a one that's chopped off, and lo and behold, go to order parts. All the parts are back ordered. Well, gee, I wonder why. Because all of these parts are being ripped off these vehicles, and people are being forced to get these pipes, and it's not really something you can get aftermarket. Like, I don't ever see somebody coming in with, I got an aftermarket Y pipe. Can you install it for me? Like, no.
When it comes to exhaust parts, I'm sorry. After that,
you're going to be welding in 2 cats, just 2 cats, like a cat here and a cat here. Like, you're going to be a boop boop, and then here, can you put these on?
It's crazy. That guy. So he actually did get away with that part. He actually did get the exhaust out of there and it disappeared, or what?
As far
Yeah.
as I know, yeah, that's what the story I got.
Wow.
I'm still trying to think of how.
How did you carry it? It must have took a team of
Yeah,
people, like at least 2 people.
And, if not more.
Yeah. I mean, these guys aren't worried about the surveillance or nothing. You'll see them on camera doing whatever they're doing. And it's, I mean, what is that? You caught, I mean, it's good for the insurance. Like, you saw him do it. Yep, he did it. I don't know where he went.
Well,
You know what I mean?
here's the thing. I mean, I've been hearing about reading stories. Actually, a lot of them quite lately. There are vehicles falling on top of the thieves whilst stealing
Oof.
the cat.
Yeah, I've seen that, man.
Ooh.
You know what? I'm sorry. You can call me a bad guy
Oh.
if you want. That I find this a little bit rather amusing about karma and all that.
That's the
But
ultimate right there. You're donezo, man.
I really have to wonder about how the paramedics who have to attend to these kind of calls to save these guys, how
They wouldn't be
could
saving
possibly-
them. They'd be already gone.
how they can keep a straight face when they go to a call like that. They're trying to
Wow.
save a guy there who's a thief, who's essentially trying to steal from someone. You know, like, here, you own a Salter truck yourself. How would you react? Honestly, be honest. If you came across the guy there screaming for help because your truck fell on top of him while he was trying to
Yeah,
steal.
I mean,
Shoot.
unfortunately, I hate to be that guy.
I'd feel like
to say it, but
dumbass.
I know. I'd be like, let him sit for a minute. I don't know.
You know, no, like.
Let him sit under there for a little while, then I'll see.
Hmm.
You know, I don't know.
It's not
Just
nice to wish somebody hurt or dead, but at the same time, you know what? If you're doing something stupid, you know this thing called play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You know, so like,
I wish
Yeah.
I would have been able to see or had an ability to talk to the people who were going to test that DPF that you guys saw on the channel. That was on the truck that had 993,000 miles, and it now has 1 million miles on it now. It
that
just
is
rolled
beyond
over there.
impressive.
How? I want to know what would it look like inside, what the guts, what
That was the
substrate looked
original
like.
DPF.
That was the original DPF. That's
Wow.
huge. That's huge. From
He
what
must
you know,
he
Chan
must
and
have
I
been
see.
towing.
Oh, most definitely. He hot shotting all over.
Yeah, that helps.
You know what I
Um,
don't understand though? Why is it on the F250 to 550 that's all one assembly, yet on the F650 and 750 you can buy them in different pieces and actually service them? Because I think on medium duty trucks, don't they clean out and bake the DPFs?
Wow.
I've had 650, 750s where it was just one long cat. I've had
Right.
2 of them.
Depends on how they're ordered and the weight certification, I believe.
So
wonder
are
what the
you,
difference would
Cody?
be, like-
Cody, are you talking about when you go over to 14,000 pounds, you have the derated power of that cabin
It's
chassis?
it all depends on the truck, the 650, 750. It just
Really?
depends on what you're doing with it. You can order them both as a torpedo or a wraparound.
No, with the ones, the other kind, is that the kind that you can just put in regen at any time?
No, it's
It
the same.
regen- The regens and stuff the same.
It's the same thing. It's just 2 different parts, just like the F-150 and the Transits,
Yeah.
where you can service them separately.
Well, the DPFs, because I know you can only they do have a finite service life
Yeah.
after so many regens and all that.
120,000 or 120,000 miles according to the
Right.
pinpoint test.
Okay, so but medium and heavy duty trucks, we both know, get to that kind of mileage really, really fast. So a lot of these big truck companies, what they do is they take them to get them baked out. Or
We
I've heard
used to
that.
bake out 6.4s and never had any luck with them. So
I've done 167. I don't know.
I don't trust it. But
Yeah.
It's too bad that they don't make it serviceable. You know, they could. You know, why not make them all so that the individual components can be serviced?
I'm just talking about cost reasonableness is all it is, right? Like, I got nothing against following the rules there, like having a truck. I know that there's a lot of guys out there deleting it, exhaust, but for the average John Doe that wants a diesel truck, but is also willing to follow the rules to keeping it all that. You know, let's face it, $7,000 torpedo is not exactly a reasonable cost expense to incur. Well, then again, there's a hybrid battery too, so I guess I could say that.
Yeah,
the hybrid
loves heat.
The hybrid battery that's in the wife's Mariner, it's like $5,000, and that's a 07 Mariner. It's like,
Has it had to be replaced?
nope.
Okay.
I mean, those things go 250,000 miles or more.
Was
They
that a
ran 'em-
lithium? Is that a lithium ion?
No,
What
it's
is it?
older. It's an older school battery. I don't know what it was. I know they ran them in the New York City taxi cabs, and there's cabs
Yeah.
go 200,000+ miles on them.
Yeah, as long as that computer technology keeps that battery in that happy range without going too low, I mean, it protects itself pretty good.
I mean, the only problem I have is with it depleting overnight sometimes, but I think there's a draw somewhere.
Speaking of what Chan was talking about, you know, with the DPFs and their health, I was just talking to a gentleman today from South Dakota, and having a 6.7, yeah, I don't want to say Powerstroke, having a 6.7, you all need to get ForScan. If you don't know what it is, look it up. I have a video that I'm in the middle of making. I've just been real busy. I want to show you guys how to use that. It's something that'll allow me to talk to your truck if need be. But there's one particular
Got
thing
mine.
that, yeah, see here, DS has got his little dongle. We're going to have a little session and teach him how to use it. You can keep your DPF health in tip-top shape two ways. Turn on OCR and the active regen inhibit, and you'll be able to see and be more cognitive of how full your filter is. Number two, ForScan is going to allow you to have the ability to push a static regen through. If you can't drive your vehicle because you just don't want to drive it in a manner that regen's going to finish. I always see it at 80. It never goes down. I see it at 40. That's as low as it goes. Hey, you know what? Don't worry. You have ForScan. Use the feature that will allow you to do a static regen and clean that puppy out. Do it once a month. Get in the habit of doing it once a month. I know you got 20, 30 minutes once a month to do jack diddly. Hook up ForScan, get a hold of me. I can do it for you. And let's clean your filter out so that you're not going to have a stuffed up tampon. Let the thing flow. Let it breathe. Let those EGTs be nice and even.
Which is what I was doing on a regular basis with my 16 with IDS. And then up until recently, when I learned about ForScan, I actually did it with the ForScan too, just the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That ForScan is one awesome tool there to have.
Definitely.
Has any of you guys played with adding other Ford programming, maybe from like Lincoln or something to like a Ford Super Duty?
Sorry?
Because I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but you can add different Ford.
You can add the Lincoln mirrors on the F-150s.
That's what I wanted to wonder if you can do to a Super Duty. When you put it in reverse, if the Lincoln resets the reverse mirror, the side mirrors to a different position in reverse. I wonder, can you do that to a Super Duty?
That's a good question. I don't know.
You have to look at the spreadsheet. There's a lot of interesting stuff. And it's more so for the Illumiduties, the guys who, like Chan's previous truck, you know, the 11 through 16. There's just a few things, but a lot more things for the Illumiduties. The BCM is totally different. The cab configuration was different. It was a big change that went through with that vehicle line. And
well, you're talking about Lincolns. Those are the ones that you don't even touch the fob. You walk up and get within 20 meters of it, and that's it. The whole car lights up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know what he's getting at. I think I've seen one F-150, or was it top trim level, platinum or limited, that does that too.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it probably can be done too. At least an F-150 for sure, but maybe a Super Duty. Because when you put it in reverse,
150 for sure. because
Yeah.
I've got the
Reverse,
spreadsheet on my phone.
I'd like it to move over so I can see my tire. You know, that'd be cool.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. See that outer dually,
Hey, we've become too dependent on our backup cameras, I think. And hey, I'll admit I do it too. You know,
Backup cameras, what's that?
yeah,
My 97 doesn't have that.
yeah, but at least you're a driver, though. You know how we all know how to drive. They're like this generation of new drivers now.
My thing is,
Yeah.
my truck's got this millennial Gen Z device in the middle of the floor. It's got a number 5. It's got numbers 1 through 5 with an R on it.
Oh, you mean it must be the millennial anti-theft device, in other words. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I'm super dependent on my backup camera. The big salt spreader and everything behind me. I'm gonna back into something, man, for sure. If I didn't have it.
No, well, it's because it's there for us. How does a vehicle with tire pressure sensors come in on the hook with 2 flat tires? How does a vehicle that has backup and front sensors come in with the front and rear bumpers smashed in? And I've seen it before on those high-end Lincoln MKXs.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just one of
That's
those.
the backup camera.
Yeah.
I actually got an OEM camera in the housing mounted on the back of my spreader. So with my tailgate removed, I can still see behind the truck. But then again, like, it just makes me fast. If I'm thinking about backing up and having to look in the mirrors and kind of judge it, I mean, I can do it, but I'm not getting close to stuff. But the camera, I can get like right there.
Cowboy Crusher says, I crush a Prius at least twice a week now, and the Honda hybrids. Have seen a couple of the Tahoe hybrids, just like any vehicle, 10 to 12 years, and it's mine. I'm gonna gobble it up, crush it up, bring it in. Behind, I can think back to at a recycling plant. Dang, this guy is getting technical. Word. Great comments. A lot of you guys are talking about good stuff, bringing up good talk about DPF. That's a real big thing. I wanna stress to you guys. I mean, that is got to be one of the top things that I have trucks come in with SCR and DEF related problems.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of that stuff can be prevented if we gave our truck a little bit of our time. It's a tool, like Rich was talking earlier. You know, this is something that we use every day. This is for our business, and you know, when we do these flushes and these maintenance items to our truck, we're doing this for a reason, not just for you know, for the sake of it. This is to help keep our investment going. We don't want downtime. Nobody wants to be down because of a vehicle repair. And that's what we're talking about. Especially getting ForScan. ForScan is a must if you have a Ford Powerstroke. 6.0s, yeah. More for data streaming
7.3's
than,
up.
yeah. I
Seven
mean,
is-
just minor things. But still, you know, being able to diag your truck and being able to talk and communicate, that's the biggest thing when trying to repair these vehicles, for Christ's sakes. You got to talk to it. I want to thank you guys. I appreciate you all for checking in every Wednesday. I want to thank Mr. Chan, man, Ford boss.
Yeah.
He's hard at work. DS Trucks. He's staying up with us the whole time. Appreciate you. CP's monitoring us. We got it all. Make sure to check back on Friday. It is going to be New Year's Eve.
Oh boy.
I have a very, very, very important video. I may highlight it tomorrow in a very important video for all of you snowplow drivers, for all of you guys who have high electrical loads. on your Super Duty and you're having electrical issues, you guys need to watch this video, because this may be another factory mod install that you can do at home. I'm going to have all the parts listed out and show you guys how to keep more juice in your Super Duty. Thanks again, you guys. And yeah, make sure to hit them comments. We'll see you guys later.